Hey, this is Ben Solomon, and welcome to this episode of the Techno Leadership Show. In this episode, we are going to be talking about how to alleviate the concerns that keep your executive team up at night. Now, when you're going into leadership roles, whether it's management, i.e., tech management, team leader, whatever role, or if you're going into an executive leadership position like director, VP, CIO, CTO, there are certain things that come on our shoulders as delegates of authority in our areas. So, as a C level, director level, VP level executive leader, you have direct contact with the rest of the executive team. In a lot of cases, you are spending time together as an executive team working on strategic initiatives for the whole business. So when you are working in such close proximity with the core leadership group that's running the business, and where you are held responsible but at the same time also consulted on your area, which is technology, having a seat at the table gives you the opportunity to do a lot more. So in that sort of situation, you are there to promote the use of technology in the whole business. You're there to look at all the issues that the business is facing holistically and be part of the brainstorming and coming up with solutions. And it doesn't always have to be technology solutions. It could be process solutions. It could be solutions that other departments in your business can execute on. But to be someone who's valuable in that scenario means you need to have a really good understanding of the industry that your business is in, looking at what others in your industry are doing and how they're keeping up with technology, with the processes, with all those aspects. There is a tendency for people in the tech space to think, look, it's not my responsibility to know other aspects of the businesses in my industry. But when you come to this executive leadership position, it is part of your responsibility. Yes, the CEO is responsible holistically for the business and then reporting to the board, but you have been delegated with responsibility to ensure, yes, technology is integrated with every aspect of the business, but you can't do that effectively without understanding the business. And which is where going to networking events, going to even industry events for that specific industry, even if it directly does not affect you with technology, is important. It allows you to get a feel for what concerns are being raised in the industry, what your leadership group's concerns are, because when you go with the leadership group to something like this, there's always a tendency of people talking, oh, look at that, yeah, I've been thinking about that. So you know what the concerns are, you get a feel for that, and you can start preparing solutions for that and put proposals around that. And when it comes to a point of even budgets and all that sort of thing, when you have a really good finger on the pulse of where the executive team's at, where they're looking at for the next 3, 5, 10 years of the business, where the industry is going, you can tie together funding requests for things to those needs. And when things are tied to those needs, there is a higher likelihood of it being funded. What generally tends to happen is, if you've come from a tech background and you've gone into tech management and then into tech executive leadership, there is a tendency for us to stay within that area that we are familiar with, which is the tech, and not delve into the business aspect of it, and which then means we translate things as, oh, we need to do X, Y, Z, not in the point of view of the business going, because you have this 3-year goal or 5-year goal, we need to do this, this, and this for us to be able to get the technology to that position to support the vision of the business. And then it becomes like there's these two different things, the business there and the technology here, trying to work in parallel, which doesn't work. In the past, it has worked because technology played an operational efficiency role, and that was fine. But now, with technology affecting every part of the business, in fact, in a lot of businesses, technology is the business now, because it's become such a foundational aspect, and an aspect that gives competitive advantage to a business in the marketplace. So you need to be focusing on everything being put together from a business standpoint, and from a standpoint of how it's going to positively affect the business and how it's going to protect the business and the leadership group from various risks that are in the marketplace. So looking at it from that perspective, you'd be looking at putting in processes, putting in technologies, putting in systems in place to, one, give the business a competitive advantage, and two, to mitigate risks that the business would be exposed to. And most of the times the concerns that executive leaders have is around these areas, which is, what are all the risks that we are exposed to? And technology has a tendency to expose us to a lot more risks, because there's all these integrations between different technologies, different platforms, and all those things that we have to be aware of. And we are looked on as the experts who have the answers. So we need to work with our teams to ensure that we're meeting best practices and frameworks that have been adopted for the organization, in a way that we can then look back at that and utilize that to ensure that risks are mitigated, we are secure, as well as giving us the opportunity to gain a competitive advantage in the marketplace. And always have an open conversation with the other executive leaders in your business, which means it allows you to know where their head's at, and so that you can, from a technology standpoint, look at supporting their fears and risks that they're seeing. And that means, like when you speak to them and have an open dialogue with them, you can go, so would you having this kind of technology support you in that issue? And if they go, yeah, that is something that would be worthwhile looking at, then you can bring them in, do a pilot, do a test, and then if that is something that will alleviate their worries and fears, you can then look at putting in a big project that implements that technology or that process or that system for the whole business, to ensure that you get better outcomes. So communication, yes, is a very important thing, but having good relationships with people in the executive team, and having a good relationship with other people in the business, because the thing is, once you have good connections with people in other parts of the business, you firsthand get an opportunity to see what the issues are and how you and your team can support them in that. And this applies even when you're in a manager role and you're talking to your executive leader to figure out, look, what are the issues you're seeing? And you as a tech manager or infrastructure manager, operations manager, whatever your role might be, are also seeing what the clients are facing as an issue, and you need to translate that back across to business issues, and pass it along to the executive or tech executive, CIO, CTO, for them to take it back to the executive leadership group to, again, solve that issue. And so that when the time comes for funding, it's top of mind because it's been constantly spoken about, and there's a dialogue that's happening up there. There's probably specific processes and governance systems that are in place to ensure that concerns are sorted out in a timely manner, and having it go up to that executive group means that it will get higher priority to be looked at and be resolved. So the things that do keep executive leaders up is competitive advantage in the marketplace, which is innovation. How can you support that? And risks and the mitigation of risk and how you can support that. What documentations are in place for it? What systems are in place for it? What other aspects can you bring in, insurances, whatever it might be, to mitigate that? So hopefully that gives you some points to think about, because it's not a holistic everything perspective. It's just a 20,000, 30,000 foot view of what people are concerned about at that level of the business. And having an open dialogue means you can get the details that are specific to your business and the current point in that business, and then work your way through that with your executive leaders and executive team and other departments in the business. Hope this helps you out. I wish you all the best in your journey as a tech professional, manager, and leader. If you like this episode, please hit the like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button so that you're notified of future episodes as they are released. Take care, and I look forward to talking to you in a future episode. Have a good day.